Hey guys, there's two major news that's happening even at the end of this historic week where Trump is the president-elect. We are seeing now 30, 40, even 50% gains in a matter of a few days. And that's considering that he hasn't yet occupied the role of the president of the United States role. We have seen, incidentally, tremendous gains across equities and stocks, in the financial markets, in the crypto industry markets, and we are seeing now news of a couple of major private funds now allocating or making announcements that they're going to be allocating a proportionate amount of their funds into Bitcoin. So let's jump straight into the details. Okay, well, this is one of the two articles, one of the two private pension funds, which are multi-trillion dollar worth funds. This is not just any ordinary Mickey Mouse small-time pension fund. The Japan's government investment fund, one of the world's largest pension portfolios, has recently shown interest in exploring Bitcoin. It has a 5-year time horizon to start discovering, what are the innovative investment diversification strategies that they can look into. Currently, it holds an amount of approximately $1.5 trillion worth as of December last year, 2023, according to Reuters. Now, this shift towards incorporating Bitcoin, right, into its investment strategy could certainly influence the pension funds in the space and investment vehicles globally. Now, let's just really take a step back and try to assimilate what this actually means. We've had the US state pensions already made some allocation to Bitcoin, and the result of this Trump win, I'm going to see the rest of the 50 states to make a similar sort of thing. Now, the private pension space, even though it's true to say that they've been somewhat waiting until the actual US presidential elections come to a close. Now that we've got a named individual, which is President Trump, now we're going to start seeing a lot of rampant activity announcements from these pension providers to make these allocations to Bitcoin. And this number one Japanese government investment public fund already made this declaration that they're going to start considering to incorporate Bitcoin into its portfolio. We all know that there is only 21 million Bitcoin, so having this kind of tremendous demand, surge in demand, even the pension fund space, is going to somewhat add significant sales pressure in terms of appreciating the price of Bitcoin in the short term. So this is fantastic news, right? And this is going to have a tremendous effect on the other major pension fund players out there. Right, this is the second of the two major pension fund players. Now, this is actually a UK-based pension scheme, has been making 3% of Bitcoin allocation from its pension fund into Bitcoin. And the actual percentages, you may look at it, it may actually seem small, but if you consider the actual amount under asset management, we're talking about hundreds of billions worth of dollars in these pension funds. And even 3%, you just calculate 3%, or let's say $1 trillion, 3% of that, we're talking about $30 billion for 3% allocation of that amount into Bitcoin. This is humongous. So you can start to appreciate even more the knock-on effect this would have on the rest of the finite supply of Bitcoin in circulation, and the actual knock-on effect on the appreciation of the price, the shock upward trend on the price of Bitcoin as a result of this. It's like a cat and mouse chase where we have the pension funds are going to be making huge declarations and allocations to Bitcoin in the immediate short term as a result of the conclusion of this US president election. We're going to have other nation states adopting Bitcoin into its sovereign treasury. Trump made several declarations that he's going to hold, I think it's over 100,000 Bitcoins that the US Treasury currently has, and is going to be adding to that allocation once he's established this Bitcoin mining facility across the country. Again, this is one of many pledges, pro-crypto pledges that he's made during his candidacy and presidential campaign. And we have Russia, as I've said, I made a video on that. Russia already has taken the spearhead lead on establishing Bitcoin mining and AI infrastructure across the BRICS region. Precisely mine Bitcoins. The pension fund is going to be increasing their activity in allocating Bitcoins. And where would this leave the ordinary citizen on the street? I'm currently a Bitcoin holder. I'm going to be holding my current holdings into the long term, minimum 10-year period. And before I actually go on, let me just show you the current state of the price of the chart. You can see it's currently $79.9 thousand. I'm talking about, we're November 10th. It's approaching the $80,000 mark. This has never happened in its entire history. is going to actually hit the 80k mark by the end of the day, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to nudge a little bit more than that amount. I'm not really a fan of making predictions, but when you have this amount of volume activity coming in and you're starting to see there is some clarity on where the wind is going to be blowing, right? We're going to be having clarity for the first time around regulatory clarity on crypto industry, of which Bitcoin is the king of all cryptos. That's going to come in by the Trump administration, and the rest of the world are going to be forced to do the same. So this would bring in more positivity outlook into the crypto space, which would mean more liquidity is going to be brought into the industry, which would mean more recognition to buy into more Bitcoin because it's the king of all cryptos, is a leading digital asset, and it's going to get more expensive to acquire. So really, my message has always been the same, and I've always been consistent when I say this. You need to continue to make small allocations, or you need to start now allocating small amounts of your hard fiat earned money into Bitcoin, in line with your risk appetite. And to do this, every so often, you can dollar cost average small amounts as you move forward. You need to do these things. This is the most effective tool that we have, because as we are seeing, we are reaching this $80,000 mark. So if you look at, let's say, the start of this week, let's go back, we can see that the price of Bitcoin has been 68,000. And if you move on to, as I just shown you a moment ago, to the current price, it's hovering almost $80,000. So from 68 at the start of this week to $80,000 by the end of this week, we're Sunday, November 10th, it's a $12,000 gain. This is actually 20% gain, if you think about it, in a matter of a week. This is true, it's really volatile asset class, and people need to be prepared for this. There can be upswings and downswings, but that's why I say, if you allocate small amounts into Bitcoin that you're comfortable with to see these drawdowns, as well as major surges in upward price, then you should be prepared for that and just accept it. But clearly, the gains is tremendous, right? That's my point, right? Because you need to start treating this as a long-term investment vehicle, not something you're going to speculate and sell from 1 week to the next or from 1 month to the next. No, this is a minimum 10-year period allocation and holding, but the potential is there. So hopefully this short episode gives you that comfort that you need to start allocating, because the whale's already here. We've got the pension fund providers making allocation to Bitcoin. We've got nation states going to be doing the same thing, and also those institutional investors, the MicroStrategies, the tech companies, the Microsoft, they have to all start considering and allocate a small amount of Bitcoin even into their corporate treasuries. And then the rest of us, which are the retail investors, we need to start doing some catch up and make some very, very small allocations into Bitcoin as soon as possible and hold it on to the long term. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to seeing you next time.